Hello everyone. Welcome back to Jikook Magic. Recently, a simple action from Jungkook managed to shake the entire fandom, just from a single like and repost. But the question now is, was it really just a casual interaction on Instagram? Or was it actually a hidden message that has been too obvious to ignore all along? When Jungkook consciously liked and shared fan art of himself with Park Jimin, many things suddenly felt different. This wasn't just about an image, not merely an old moment from a GQ photoshoot. It was about the meaning behind that choice. Because we know Jungkook isn't someone who acts carelessly. Every move he makes in public is always well thought out. So when he chose to acknowledge a piece of art that represents him and Jimin, a big question arises. Is this just a coincidence? Or the most subtle way of saying something without having to say it directly? Interestingly, the reactions that followed revealed another side of the fandom, a side that is rarely discussed honestly. Jungkook once again became the center of attention after his recent Instagram activity sparked various responses from fans. But this time, the spotlight didn't come from a typical post. He liked and reposted fan art featuring himself with Jimin. At a glance, it may seem simple, just a normal digital interaction. But for many fans, this small gesture felt far more meaningful, almost like a deliberate, wordless form of communication. The fan art itself was inspired by a GQ photoshoot, a real moment they once shared. This led many to believe that his action wasn't just spontaneous. Jungkook didn't just see the artwork, he consciously chose to acknowledge it, giving validation to the interpretation created by fans. The artwork isn't just an ordinary illustration. It represents the dynamics, chemistry, and closeness between Jungkook and Jimin, something that has long been a topic of discussion within the fandom. When a figure as influential as Jungkook responds, even through a simple like or repost, its meaning naturally expands. The interaction transforms from a digital activity into a form of acknowledgement that the work truly reached him, was seen, and perhaps even appreciated. As someone known for being cautious, Jungkook's decision to interact with this kind of content is certainly not trivial. That's exactly where its strength lies. A small gesture carrying a big meaning. In this context, his action feels like a subtle signal that he sees, understands, and appreciates how fans interpret their relationship. This moment also gives the impression of a shift, as if we are entering a new phase where openness is becoming more visible, and interactions feel more natural and warm. By sharing the fan art, Jungkook seems to emphasize that what fans see isn't purely imaginary. There is a real closeness that has always been present and consistent. Other details further reinforce this narrative. In BTS's latest music video, Jungkook is seen wearing a key-shaped necklace, while Jimin wears a lock necklace. Jimin also continues to wear his signature chrome heart necklace. This combination feels like more than just accessories. The key and lock symbolize connection, two elements that complement each other and are not easily separated. For fans, details like these become part of an evolving emotional narrative. However, on the other hand, the fandom dynamic has grown more complex. Since Jungkook opened his personal Instagram account, every small interaction has been observed, analyzed, and often exaggerated. When he liked and shared the fan art, the responses included not only enthusiasm but also rejection from certain groups. Instead of accepting what is visible, some tried to shift the attention, for example, by mass tagging Jungkook in other content. This pattern is not new, but rather a recurring habit, as if reality can be redirected to fit a preferred narrative. The contrast is clear. On one side, Jungkook openly interacts with Jikook content. On the other, defensive reactions attempt to drown out that moment. This phenomenon shows that rejection often isn't due to a lack of evidence, but because the evidence feels too real to ignore. When interactions like this happen repeatedly, they form a pattern that becomes increasingly difficult to deny. However, for those already attached to certain beliefs, accepting reality is not easy. These reactions reflect a kind of unease, a need to preserve a long-held narrative. Interestingly, this also reveals a deeper pattern. For some, attention keeps returning to the dynamic between Jimin and Jungkook, regardless of anything else. It's as if there is a constant, almost obsessive comparison with every small detail. At this point, natural interactions are no longer considered enough. there is a push to replicate or even force situations to appear balanced. The clearest example can be seen in how fan art is treated. Jungkook liked and shared content focused on Jimin, yet some attempt to provoke a similar response toward other content. The question is, does something forced still carry the same meaning? Most likely not. The value of an action lies in its sincerity and spontaneity. Ultimately, this phenomenon reflects a need for validation. There is an urge to prove something that, if it were truly real, wouldn't need to be forced. Ironically, the more aggressively this effort is made, the more it reveals a desire for the very thing they often criticize. On the other hand, it's important to remember that supporting idols shouldn't be limited by specific narratives. Jimin and Jungkook, like other BTS members, are individuals with full freedom over their choices, including what they like and share on social media. Turning a simple action into criticism or attacks clearly crosses a line. Especially when fan artists become targets of negativity, the situation turns into unhealthy social pressure. At this point, it's no longer just a difference of opinion, it becomes collective pressure. And when something happens because of pressure, it may appear natural, even when it's not. It's no surprise that behavior like this leads some to label parts of the fandom as toxic. Criticism can even turn toward the idols themselves, as Jungkook has experienced in the past simply for not meeting certain expectations. In reality, the dynamics among BTS members are filled with light, natural moments. Their closeness is seen in simple things: spontaneous jokes, small habits, and unforced interactions. All of these reflect an organic relationship, without the need for comparison or fabrication. In the end, everything comes down to one simple thing: choice. What Jungkook shows in public is a conscious decision. Every like and repost is a form of expression that he chooses himself. And perhaps in an era where so much can be hidden, it is these small gestures that become the most honest way to communicate, without words, yet still clearly understood. So now the question is no longer what we see, but how ready we are to accept what has been visible all along. So, what do you think? Is this just a coincidence or a signal that keeps repeating? Write your thoughts in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to Jikook Magic for more in-depth analysis. See you in the next video.